Felt like I lost my mojo for a little while artistically. Got to see and meet Stevie Wonder last year. There's a lot of conversation around licensing of music that's being used to train these generative AI models.
Do you think that authenticity has been lost?
Ooh.
Verity Pabla. Singer-songwriter, global talent, scout and founder of I'm Not a Machine. In an AI-first world, what's the thing that people usually misunderstand, or what's the biggest misconception about that human creativity?
Ooh, I think that it can be difficult and time consuming, which yes, sometimes it can be, but actually what I try to do is make that process effortless, so that rather than potentially a client thinking about how can we generate an AI voice and do that within half an hour or even a few minutes and then utilize it in their productions, how can they come to someone like me to find that sort of talent where it just makes it effortless and actually gives them the result that they really want, which is that sense of authenticity.
Do you think that authenticity has been lost?
I know voice artists who have lost a lot of work because of AI usage. So I'm not anti-AI, but what I would say is that you have to be able to find a way to stand out. So I work with composers, musicians, artists, voice artists. With the composers, I will always say those composers have to have some sort of niche, because if they can make anything from rock music to hip hop, rock music one day, hip hop the next day, it's not really, I don't know where to put them. Whereas if they make very particular, dark, edgy trailer music, let's say, I know where to pitch them. I feel like, and maybe I'm a bit too optimistic about humans, but I feel like there will always be a space for human creation and also a desire for humans to be a part of that creative process. So I don't, maybe I'm being naive, but I don't feel too threatened by it. But my brand is called I'm Not a Machine. So in a way, I'm very much leaning into what it's always been about.
Let's focus on one section that you said. You spoke about the niche. If I'm a creator and I've got all these opportunities around me that have hence been exemplified by the addition of AI potentially, how do I niche down?
One, you have to sit with your morals and your ethics. Do I ethically agree with the use of, say, generative AI? There's a lot of conversation around licensing of music that's being used to train these generative AI models, and whether people are in favour of that or not. It's a little bit like the rabbits out of the hat. So it's probably not the phrase, but you understand what I mean. So I guess that now it's how do we as music companies, how do we actually, and the music industry as a whole, how do we adapt, but how do we also say, hold on, this is what people have created. Maybe they've spent 20 years developing their craft, and you've basically just stolen that to then create a new song that you're going to put out there, you're going to make money from potentially. But I see it in theatre, dance, exhibitions, that it feels more special. AI generated music artists, they may well get up to a certain standard where actually that's the kind of thing you want to listen to, but you won't ever be able to really genuinely interact with that because it's artificial intelligence. It's not an actual person. So for me, when I was releasing my own music, albums and singles, performing live was such a huge part of that, to build and continue to connect with my fan base. Recordings were really important, but it was that symbiotic relationship between the live and the recorded. Los Angeles was big for me in terms of my music career. So I'd actually gone out to Auckland initially and left my band behind end of 2010, and it was a sort of strange decision to make because I was doing really well with the band, having a lot of fun. We were releasing different records, but I just felt personally I needed to expand and meet new people and do new things. I got my mojo back because I felt like I lost my mojo for a little while artistically, but I went to see a bunch of musicians who all play with the likes of Shaka Khan and Beyonce and Justin Timberlake and people like that, and household names, Ariana Grande, and that just really sparked me into life. And these are connections that I've kept. I got to meet see and meet Stevie Wonder last year as a result of one of those connections. So
when you speak about going to Los Angeles, getting your mojo back,
yeah.
you're in an environment that's full of success.
Yeah.
And is that inspiring or is that pressure?
I felt it was inspiring. I mean, I walked past Alanis Morissette one time on the street when I was going to play basketball. That for me was just that was awesome. Yeah, for me it fueled me really. And if my personal life hadn't gone on a tangent, I would have been out there in the States on a talent visa working and probably still doing my own music rather than what I do now, which is more as an agent. And I don't regret that, but definitely my journey was heading towards being in the States full time.
What happened then?
I felt like I was at the stage with my own music that I wanted to look at getting it onto TV and film. And I had quite a few people around me who were really talented artists, but who couldn't quite get to that next stage with their own career. So I felt like I wanted to help and support them. And maybe I've got a better chance of getting music on TV if I'm not just repping myself, but I'm repping other people too. So that's the journey that I took. I started up I'm Not a Machine Music, end of 2013. And that was really the start of a new journey then toward me being more like a rep for pre-recorded music. So working with different artists, artist development, sync licensing, which is when you take commercial music and you pitch and place it onto TV and film. And I'd start getting briefs that were for electronica with a male vocal, for example, and at that time I was only representing female artists. It was almost like I was kind of breaking open into this world and not being forced in a certain direction, but being nudged in the direction of, hey, don't just be so set on it being female neo-soul artists. Let's look at all the people that I know, because I've got this amazing male composer in Hollywood, and then I've got that artist over there.
And then the success just followed, I assume.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit of a journey, and I did a master's degree along the way, which kind of consolidated my learning and helped me to become more of a critical thinker, which I think is quite useful these days, personally and professionally.
As an unrivaled listener,
yeah,
I want to ask, what does that actually look like in the daily? And how can someone here at Mill Street start to become an unrivaled listener? What's step one?
Ooh, step one is, talking less and listening more, being open to what's just under the surface. I guess in theatre, which is my original background, it's subtext. It's what's underneath the words. Actually, at times it's really good to hold that space, because what might come about might be a conversation around something personal rather than professional. Doesn't necessarily mean that it's less valuable then for that to have happened, but it could just well be that person needs you to listen to whatever's going on for them personally to build a sense of trust within you. And perhaps some point down the line, you get a job. I have a small production music label, and I work with electronic grime artists, particularly on that production music label. And I won't go into a meeting about my production music label and say, oh yeah, we're going to make 100 albums this year. No, we're not. We're going to make very few albums each year, but they're going to be really good, really high quality, really commercial. So I feel like that's also part of it. It's being really honest and open and genuine.
As a final question, what's your one biggest piece of business advice for all the people upstairs that will help take them to the next step?
Understand why you're doing what you're doing. So it's a little bit of the Simon Sinek. Start with why.
Start with why,
Yeah, understand why you're doing what you're doing.
Why is that so important?
Because I think it's the foundation for all that's to come. I feel like it stabilizes you as to what you do. So it's almost like a pivot point. So this is my reason why. Why do I get out of the bed, or why would I do any creative project? Now, I've done lots of different types of creative projects, not just in music or voice or sound. Even the other week I was doing some hand modelling for one of the members here for a shoot. But it all stems from the same pivot point, if you like. So I think if you can understand what's at the core of you, because we're all motivated by different things, one of my core values is creativity. So it doesn't really matter, what type of creativity it is. It's important that forms part of my life. So understand that pivot point, or that why for you.
Verity, thank you so much for your time. It's been incredible to understand your journey, your mantras, why you think human creativity is so underrated in a technology first world. So it's been brilliant. Thank you for coming on PodFast.
Thank you for having me.